I can see the chat.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us once again for our parent support group workshop that we have every month. Once again, we have Lisa Schainker with us from USU Extension. We've had her multiple times on before, and we're so grateful she's willing to come back time and time again. Her presentations are wonderful, and we usually have a ton of engagement. So we're excited to have you again, Lisa. I'm just going to let you take it away. I also have the chat pulled up, so
Great.
I can monitor that as well.
Okay, perfect. Yes, so I do have some questions for you guys as we go through this presentation. But if you do have thoughts or comments, go ahead and put them in the chat. I have a lot of content, so we will try to get through everything today. So this presentation is about building resilience in kids. We're going to talk about a number of things that are connected to some of the issues that we're hearing a lot about. Like I hear a lot about from schools that we partner with in terms of like what kids are struggling with in school and some of the issues that they're seeing. So we're going to start off kind of talking about what some of those issues are and what they look like. And then we'll get into the strategies that parents can use to help kids kind of work through that and learn the skills they need to to be resilient. Because man, resilience is one of those things that it's like every person, like child and person, human being, just needs more of. So I'm excited for this topic, and let's get going. All right, so we're gonna come back to this, but I have some fun little engagement activities for you guys. So what do you guys see in this picture? What's happening in this picture? You can go ahead and put it in the chat. Anybody see some different things going on here? Okay, we see a lady walking. Yep. Okay, and a blue coat. I see a lady with a blue coat and a hat. What else do we see? Okay, first we saw the face, then the lady in the nose. Oh, right. So we have a person in the nose. So that's really interesting. A face in the field and the mountains in the sky. Yeah. So we have they're like houses, right? That are the eyes, which is super interesting. A house, yeah. Okay, just sort of make eyes in person. Eyes or houses. Okay, so we see some different things here. And the reason why I have us looking at this is because it really depends on how you look at this picture. And that's a lot about what resilience is. And we'll be talking more about that. But I just kind of open with this because it's like how you look at this, like we see, like, do we see fields of like wheat or do we see the guy's face? And do we see like, sun rays in the sky, like an orange sky, or do we see a guy's forehead and hair? It's really, it just kind of like depends on how you look at it. And so that's a lot of times when we're thinking about resilience, we help to help our children look at things in different ways. So again, we're gonna talk about a little bit more later. Okay, so just to open up here, some of your jobs as parent. What are some of your jobs as parents? Protector, teacher, guide. Yep. Yeah. Those are really good. Yeah, to No, the your job as a parent, like what's your role in your child's life? Yeah, emotionally regulate, teacher, listener, disciplinarian. Uh-huh, uh-huh. You can tell me your actual job if you want to. Um, yeah, to guide through their experience. I like that. That's a really good one. Life coach. See, that is definitely a big part of being a parent. Being their life coach. Yep. They get free life coaching for 18 years and probably more after that. Okay, so this is, you guys are obviously all those things, right? But then some of the things I have are just to prepare them to be an adult, which involves all the things you guys said. I know that's a long time from now for a lot of you. We want to help them become good humans, just in general. And then, but the big thing is that you want to be their teacher when they're at home. So when they're at school, they have teachers that help them, with their academics and, learning to, with social skills and things like that. But at home, like you get to teach them all the other things that they need to be ready for life. So again, that's a lot of what this work is when it comes to resilience is where you come in because it's difficult for teachers to dig into some of this stuff. So this is really where a lot of your work comes in. Okay. So this next little activity I have for us is to think about if mud represents the same problem in each picture, how would you describe how each child is handling it? Okay, so let's start with child number one. What do you think this child is, how do you think they're handling this? First of all, what would be a problem? What might be like a normal problem that or normal issue that challenge that kids deal with? Maybe, does anybody have any thoughts on that? It could be from your personal children, what their challenges are. If you have something, go ahead and put it in the chat. No, nobody has any. Okay. All right. How about um trying to
I'm not seeing that slide.
oh, what are you guys seeing?
I still see the what are some of your jobs as a parent. Is everyone else seeing that one as well?
Okay, that's weird. No
There
wonder
you go.
you're
Now it
trying.
just flipped.
It
I
worked. Okay.
think.
So now you see the
There you go.
kids in the mud?
Yep, it just switched to the mud slide.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really weird. Okay, I'm not sure how that happened, but okay, because it was showing that for me. Okay. All right. So let's say your child is having trouble learning to read. Let's just go with that one, okay? So let's say the problem that we have is your child's trying to learn how to read. And how do you think child number one is handling this challenge of learning to read? What might be going on with them? Any thoughts?
We have lots of comments in the chat. Are you seeing those?
Oh, no, I do not. I'm so sorry. Let me
No,
refresh. I don't know if
that's
that
okay.
works. If I refresh, oh wait, mouse. I don't know what is happening. Oh, okay.
That's okay. I
I
can
don't.
read the chat for you. That
Okay,
works.
cool. Yeah, go ahead.
We have a lot of people saying that for child one, that they're embracing it head on. Someone else said it's not well, they are drowning. Um, they're in deep, but still seem to be tackling it. Yep, those are our
Oh,
comments.
okay. I have the comments now. Okay.
Oh, perfect.
I just had to do some stuff here. Okay. So okay, they're in deep, but okay. Okay, so what we might have here, somebody said when I've shown this before, somebody said, well, she looks like she's kind of having fun being stuck in the mud. And, sometimes it is like fun, but in this case, if we imagine that this child is just feeling like trapped, like I don't know how to get out of this. I don't know what to do. I feel stuck. Um, but yeah, she's obviously she has her arms free, so she can try to climb out, but she's gotten herself in pretty deep there. And maybe really struggling with it and not sure like how to achieve her goal to get through it. All right, so if we look at child two, what do we think here? What is happening with child two? Where are they in terms of their ability to manage this issue of learning to read? Testing it out, okay. Any other ideas? One foot stuck, but they can put, yeah. So in this case, or unsure of their footing, yeah. So in this case, it's like you might have somebody, a child that's like, you can't really tell. Are they pulling their foot out or are they going in further? Like, are they sinking in right now? Are they allowing their foot to sink into this mud or are they actually in the process of pulling themselves out? We can't know. But if we were to think about this child, like they're in a place where they need, like, they could use their skills if they had them to keep themselves from sinking further in there. Um, the skills that we're going to talk about when it comes to their challenges. And then child number three, what do we think here? How are they handling this situation of their frustration with learning how to read? Okay, cautious, stepping back or watching. Uh-huh. They have confidence in their abilities to overcome, very apprehensive. Okay. Yeah, so interesting. So they're like their feet are dirty, so they're like, they don't want to sink in the dirt, but right now they seem like they're doing pretty well. So they're not sinking. So you don't have to answer this one, but just think about when your child deals with a big challenge, think about what do they look like? Which of these representations really fits best with what how your child handles their big challenges? Do they seem to kind of get stuck and just feel like I give up, I can't get out? Or are they like, no, I want to do it myself, I can do it? Or are they like, I got this, no problem. I'm not going to let myself sink further into a challenge to where I can't get out. Okay. All right, so can you guys see the next slide?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So one of the things that we hear a lot about is that this is the kind of things that we hear a lot in school. And I'm sure you guys hear it a lot at home too, especially when they have like, it's not fair. He did it to me first, or she did it to me first. So if it's like siblings or a friend or something like that, it wasn't my fault. My teacher is mean. I just don't get it. I give up. This is too hard. Can't you just do it for me? Do any of these sound familiar to you guys? Yeah, okay. So, fixed mindset phrases. Yes, yes. Okay. All right. Yeah, so you're going to be my expert when we get to that. In a little bit. Okay, so what are some of the roadblocks and challenges that your children face every day, day to day? Go ahead and put those in the chat. What are the kinds of things that your kids are dealing with that they seem to be struggling with at times? And I know your kids are all different ages, so it's okay. Even if you have grown children, they can still be having challenges and roadblocks. So, okay, boredom. That's a just especially if they don't have maybe like kids are stuck with on screens and so they're like bored if they don't have their screens. Um, okay, poor emotional regulation, so they tend to get in their way. Okay. Self-esteem and decision making, for sure, that can be a big thing for a lot of kids too. Yeah. Okay. So kids just have a lot. They're dealing with a lot. And one of the things we know, a lot of times parents, we think that um kids don't have stress, but actually research shows that kids do have a lot of stress. It's just from different types of things, especially from like not fitting in or belonging. That's a big thing that causes and creates stress for kiddos. So, and then we had lack of attention to detail and perfectionism. So, yes, when kids feel like they have to be perfect, they can't make a mistake. That's another really big roadblock that might get in their way of not even wanting to try something. Following instructions. Yeah, so just not fear of missing out. Okay, FOMO. Yeah, defiance, wanting to do things their own way. Yes, yes, yes. Comparing to others. Yes. Okay. Yeah, those are really good examples. All right, you guys. So, what do we have in common here with these phrases? What is this? What is happening here when we see this? It's not fair. It wasn't my fault. My teacher is just mean. So, what do we think these have in common? Okay. Blaming someone else. Um, Yep, no accountability. Yep, bingo. So we have this not taking responsibility. So this is a big one that we see with kids nowadays. A lot of children are just not able to take responsibility for their actions or for their choices. Does that sound familiar to any of you? Like they just want to say it's not fair, it's not my fault, not understanding that they have a role in whatever it was. Okay. All right. How about these? Math is stupid, or fill in the blank on that, whatever it is that they can't figure out how to do. I just don't get it. I give up. This is too hard. Can't you just do it for me? What do you think these things have in common? Okay. Um, okay, not believing in themselves, fear of failure, lack of confidence. Uh-huh, uh-huh. Yeah, not believing. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. So those are all related. And the way I've kind of framed this is inability to take on challenges. So this picture I have to the right there, it's this concept of struggle or surrender. And a lot of kids are afraid of or don't want to do anything where they are struggling. So as soon as they feel like they're in a struggle situation where like I don't feel comfortable, I don't know how to do this, they want to surrender. So they're like, I want to go to that other I want to go to that other direction. I don't want to move towards or work through a struggle or a challenge. I just want to go to surrender because I don't have I just don't have it in me right now, or I don't have the capacity, um, or I don't have the confidence to feel like I can take on these challenges, whatever those may be. So this is a lot of where the resilience concept comes into play because what we want them to do is learn how to work through their struggles, work through their challenges, and not give up so easily. We also want them to understand when they need to ask for help. That's another important one. But we don't want them to get to, can't you just do it for me immediately? That's what a lot of times if kids are just like, well, just do it for me. It's so much faster if you do it. Yes, it is possibly, but they're not learning how to do it themselves and they're not building their confidence and their self-efficacy and learning that they actually can do the things. So it's really important that we help them learn how to work through the struggle and the challenge. Okay, so really quickly, victim mentality is this concept of blaming others for the situation or the situation for what happened. So it's like something else. It's that external locus of control, feeling powerless or helpless in the face of challenges. Like I can't control what's happening to me. My teacher's just mean. My teacher's just giving me bad grades. It has nothing to do with what I'm doing or my lack of trying. um, Getting stuck on things that are viewed as unfair. So just not being able to view situations is like, well, it makes sense because like older brother gets a step later because they're older. And I go to bed, I have an earlier bedtime because I'm younger and I need more sleep. And that concept of that's just unfair and not being able to see the logic or the understanding of that. um that avoiding personal growth or self-improvement, again, they're not if they're not willing to work through the struggles and challenges, they're not likely to do a lot of growing or improving. So that's where we really have to push them because it's uncomfortable. And then that constantly seeking validation or sympathy from others, that's a lot of what we're seeing. And again, this is what we've heard from administrators and teachers in schools, is that we're having a lot of this kind of stuff happening. And so this is where we need parents to really teach these things at home, like helping them understand why this is not where we want our kids to be, because this does not this does not set your children up for being able to like successfully navigate life, being an adult. Because man, lots of things are going to be unfair. Lots of things we're not going to feel like we have control over them. We're going to have to, we have to work through them, and we have to constantly kind of grow and evolve in order to to become successful. And when I say successful, I just mean like functioning as a happy, healthy adult. Yes, and a lot of grown adults need to learn these things also. Yes. So it is sometimes it's really funny when I teach parenting classes, it's like you're helping this is about helping your kids do these things, but actually sneaking in like, hey, it's a good reminder for all of us that we don't want to be doing these things either because we are their role models. Okay, moving on. Okay, guys, so let's start talking about what are some of the life skills kids need to learn to become more resilient. What do you think? What are some of the skills that kiddos need to learn to be more resilient? It's okay to fail. Absolutely. Yep. Being comfortable to fail. Emotional regulation and grace in failure. Absolutely. That it is okay. That is how we learn. And emotional regulation, that's been mentioned a number of times. So I just to make sure everybody understands what that means, it's basically just helping kids like when they're starting to get upset, it's identifying their feelings, being able to talk about emotions, and then calming themselves down. So managing their feelings and emotions and not letting them get to where like they're driving their behaviors. So it's they're thinking through things and feeling all the feelings. Yeah, that's important too. um Problem solving and willing to try again, feeling and accepting all feelings. Yeah, I like that. Love that. Oh, I like that one, Megan. Risk taking. Risk taking is actually a really important thing with when it comes to resilience. In fact, a lot of the work that I do with youth focuses on positive risk taking because kids need to be able to take risks that are healthy and because it pushes them outside of their comfort zone and they learn and they develop confidence as they do things they didn't think they could do. So that is an awesome one. Thank you for that. Okay. All right. Good answers, everybody. All right, so here are some of my thoughts in addition to what you guys have come up with. So they won't always get their way. So that's an important one. Things won't always happen exactly when and how they want. So that relates to that lack of control. They need to take responsibility for their actions and choices. Some other ones, they won't be good at everything. It's okay to make mistakes. You guys covered that one. They have to work towards solving problems and working through challenges. So that's really critical. We can't just give up when something is hard and we don't know how to do it. And then the last one really relates to that first activity I had us do with a picture, trying to help them find at least one positive thing about a bad situation. So when our like life is looking like a certain way or a situation occurs that seems it's like a certain thing, it's bad, what thing can we look for in that picture or in that situation? What thing can we help them find that was positive? Something that we learned, something that we know we don't need to do again, or we don't like, hey, we learned, what did we learn from this? What did we gain from this? And then and teaching them how to do that. So you guys can do that and you're talking to them like, oh, well, you know what? That didn't work out the way I wanted it to, or that wasn't how I thought it was going to happen. But here's what I learned from it. So you're teaching them how to work through that and how to do that. So trying to help them identify like the silver linings from those negative situations. Okay, so one of the things that I want to mention is that it's important that to remember that some kids have more trouble with some of these skills than others. So some of your kids may be like amazing at some of these things and like taking responsibility, let's say, like they have no problem with that. Other kids, it's a huge problem. They're like always going to, want to blame somebody else, and it's going to take a lot of effort and work and learning so that they get to the point where they can take responsibility. So, I know I think it was my last presentation, which was a little while ago. I talked about temperament, and I just want to reiterate that. I'm going to just review temperament really fast because it does relate to resilience as well. Okay. So here are these are our 9 components of temperament. So you can see what those are there. They connect to social skills, but they definitely connect to resilience as well. So I don't know how many of you were on that presentation. Um, but just I wanted just to kind of have you guys just see what these are, and then I'll talk a little bit more about a couple of them that are more related to resilience in just a minute. We also have brain development plays a really important role. So kids have trouble understanding their consequences. They have difficulty making decisions, which was mentioned earlier. They're focused on instant gratification, not on big picture long-term outcomes, and it's difficult for them to manage their emotions. So when it comes to emotional regulation, it is a big challenge for a lot of kids because the yellow part there of their brain, their prefrontal cortex, is not as developed when they're younger as their amygdala, which manages their emotions, and therefore the emotions oftentimes kind of take the lead in their decisions, their choices, and their behaviors. So we have to, I want parents to always have empathy for their children around this because and I've been describing it this way. So if you think about the operating system that we have now, like most computers are running Windows 11. And I say like, so imagine that adults are running Windows 11, some maybe Windows 10, depending. Some of us have more work to do to kind of get to optimal operating capacity. But then think about your children, and depending on their age, they might be running Windows like 3.1 or Windows 7 or 8. So it depends like where they are, how their brain is developed, is basically like their operating system and what their capacity is to address, to manage their emotions, to understand why they should take responsibility, because taking responsibility is not consistent with like instant gratification. Like, I don't want to feel bad about myself. I want to feel good. So that's why I'm going to put the blame on somebody else. So these are really challenging. Um, no drag and drop for the kiddos. That's right. DOS. Okay, I like it. Um, so yeah, so just keep that in mind. I think it's really important for parents to keep in mind like where your children are in terms of their development, what we can reasonably expect them to be able to do with what they have to work with, because their brains just are not functioning the same way adults are. We have to work with them at the level where they are. So just have all the empathy you can for them and just keeping that in mind. Okay. All right. And then, so another thing I want to just show really fast is this concept of what happens when we're stressed or let's say threatened. If a child feels threatened, let's say they're yelled at or something's happening. This is kind of what's happening in the brain. When they're not stressed, their prefrontal cortex is able to function a lot better. So when they're in a stressful situation, that thinking part of their brain is working even less well and helping them even less in terms of managing their emotions and their actions. So when they're in a stressful situation, and again, that could just be like you yelling at them or getting angry at them or them knowing that you're frustrated with them, any of those things, basically what happens is their amygdala gets activated because of that. They feel that threat, which means they have weaker control of their thoughts, emotions, and actions. So that's kind of what happens. So if you notice that when you yell at your child or when you get angry at them and frustrated and they pick up on that, that's what's happening in their brain. Their brain is like, oh, I need to be in fight or flight mode right now, and I'm not able to think through anything. And so that's when you're likely to see that acting out, that screaming, that yelling, and that frustration on their part back. You're going to see them have trouble regulating their emotions and managing themselves very, very calmly. Okay, so just keep that in mind as you are interacting with them, like how what you're doing is impacting their ability to manage a situation that is challenging. So if you get upset and frustrated, that's likely to make it way worse and harder for them to get to figure it out, to problem solve and come up with a solution, because now their emotions are activated and their thinking part is even less functional. Okay. All right. So another thing that we have to remember is sometimes the things that we think like, oh, that's such not a big deal. Like, why should my child be upset about that? Oops. They It is a big deal to them and it might feel like the end of the world. So how do we help them with that? How do you guys manage those situations? Go ahead and put it in the chat. Like, how do you help them when it's like we think the thing is maybe kind of ridiculous and we don't get it why they're so upset about it, but we can tell they're really struggling, what do we do? What do we say to them in those situations? You guys think? Okay, ask them to try and explain their feelings. Okay. It's really important. One thing I want to point out, oh, connection. I love that. I can see that blank has really upset you. Can you tell me more? Okay. Yeah, so connection, hold space, less words, definitely. Let's pause, take a breath together and talk about it. Okay, that was great, Erin. So one of the things that we want to do, I know this is hard or frustrating. Okay, and I love that. Look, okay, yes, this is great, you guys. Okay, so a couple things that I want to point out in what you guys said. So one is we have the let's pause, which is really important. That taking a breath together, always a really good one because when they are starting to get upset and they're starting to, they don't know how to manage something that they're trying to deal with, when that emotional part of their brain gets activated, it's so difficult to try to interact with them, to even ask them to talk about their feelings at that time it's going to be very, very difficult. So we have to let them, like, whatever they're feeling, like, okay, let's pause. Let's try to get them to calm down before we then start asking them what happened or how they feel. So a lot of times parents will just start in with what happened or what's going on, like why are you sad? And it's going to be very difficult for your children to actually say words and talk when they're in that situation. So it might be actually more stressful for them until they have calmed down. So I really like a couple things here. One is um, the empathy that Rachel had there. I know this is hard or frustrating. Okay, to start with that because that shows that you get it. You are on their side. You're on their team. The empathy is always such a good place to start. So I recommend that a strategy using empathy and also uh just the having like holding space as Megan mentioned or the let's take a breath together just pause before we start getting them to talk about it so let them calm down, help them calm down first, then we can ask them what happened or how they're feeling or what we can do to help because otherwise it can be just overwhelming for them. Okay, so those are my recommendations on that. So just a couple things on temperament and why it matters. So these are the way your kids are. So every child kind of just has like a way that they are, it's what underlies their personality. Well, all humans do, right? All people do. So this isn't just for kids. This is for adults too. So it's the way they react to the world. It's relatively stable. It's something they're born with. It is influenced by biology. But when it comes to resilience, I'm going to focus on a couple of things. And the first one is persistence. So one of the, um, it's so persistence, obviously, like by definition, is their ability to stick with something. So even when something is hard or challenging, if they're high on persistence, they're going to be more likely to stick with it. So this is a natural tendency that some kids have. So why am I talking about this? So think about this for a second. So if we have a continuum of persistence, if low, we go from like 0 on the low, so far left is 0 and high on the far right is 10. So let's say, you could say, all right, generally speaking, is my child frustrated easily? Do they give up quickly? They're going to have a low persistence. That's just how they are naturally. Or they're very patient, they keep trying, and this gets to the point of being stubborn and never giving up. So sometimes, even when we're not able to do something, or even when our kids aren't able to do something, we might see them continue to try and try and try, and then they just continue to get more frustrated because they can't do it. Like they're not able to do it yet, and they just continue to get frustrated. Is this something you guys have seen in your kids? Like, where are your kids at on this continuum if you had to put them somewhere? And again, this is okay, 2 to 3. So, yeah. Anybody else want to put in kind of where your kids are at? Also, I'm assuming that you've probably noticed that different kids are, if you have multiple kids, they're probably different too. So it's just to show that like they are really just born that way. Okay, 45th percent. I love that. It's very exact. 45th percentile. Okay. So somewhere in the middle. 7-year-old, okay, frustrated very easily. Okay. Uh-huh. Okay. So, all right. Does anybody have a child who's like very patient and never gives up to the point where they're stubborn? Okay, my oldest is high. Oh, okay. So Kirsten, your oldest child is are they to the point of stubborn, would you say?
Absolutely. So like they will
Okay.
not stop or break if we haven't finished whatever their task is, right? They're going to keep trying until it's perfect. And if it's not perfect, we're starting over from the beginning.
Uh-huh. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so that's what this can look like. And that's why this is so interesting, but it has so much to do with resilience. Because those kids that are, most of the ones that of you that put your answers in there, where your kids do get frustrated easily or they give up quickly and they're low on persistence, they're gonna have you're gonna have to work extra hard with them on this. But at the same time, Kirsten has a child who doesn't want to stop or doesn't give up, and that leads to kind of that perfectionism, so that's also challenging. So it can be challenging on the extreme ends of either of these, right? So it's not positive or negative, it's just how they are. So it's just really important to keep this in mind, and it helps you when you understand these tendencies. It helps provide insight into like, why are they doing what they're doing, and or why do I keep seeing this? So just understand they're not trying to frustrate you, and they're not being difficult on purpose. This is just how they are, and we just have to give them skills and strategies to manage those tendencies. Okay, so that's one of your biggest roles as parents, is just like, okay, my child is this way. I have to figure out how to help them, given this is how they are. I can't expect them to be something they're not. I can't expect them to, if they're very low, if they're not going to go from a 2 to a 10, it's just not going to happen. But what I can do is if I have a child who's a 2 or 3 on persistence, I have to teach them skills and reinforce this concept of not giving up and continuing to try, like, and working on that so they build a tolerance for struggle or for dealing with challenges or dealing with things that are hard. Okay, because that's a lot of what it is. It's building a tolerance so that I can, like, I feel comfortable in my struggle or in my dealing with my challenge. So it's kind of like, if you go back to the kids in the mud, it's like we want them to feel comfortable. You might like with the little struggle. So like our child number 2 that had like 1 foot in there, you kind of want them to feel comfortable there, where they're like, okay, I'm struggling a little bit here, but that's okay because I know how to pull my foot out when I need to. Like I know how to do it. I'm just working on doing it. I'm in the process of doing it. We don't want our child to like sink all the way in and feel like I can't get out. I don't know how to get out. I give up. So we don't want that. Okay, so just a fun little break for you guys. What do you guys see in this picture? Go ahead and type it in the chat. What do you guys see here? Okay. Sloth. Uh-huh. Okay. All right. Rachel said an upside down dog. Rachel, that's so impressive. Have you seen this before? Okay, well, good for you, Rachel. Because check this out. If you flip this sloth over, you get a dog. So this is just another one of those, like, and I have a few more of these for you guys. This is just about, like, the concept of, like, this is about what we see and how we perceive things and how important that is. All right, so what about this one? What do we see here? Okay. Yeah, Rachel's really good at this. All right, you guys, this one was a little easier, I think. Okay, so we see the word teach going on top and the word learn on the bottom, but doesn't it look like it's an exact a reflection? But it's just interesting. So it's like, how do we look at it? All right, and this is my last one. So is this bar the same color the whole way across? What do we think on this? Yes, question mark. Okay, maybe. Uh-huh. Okay. All right. Well, it is. It is the same. So, but just because of the perspective, with the background being darker, the line pops out more, looking brighter, looking lighter. In the light background, it looks darker. But if we were to, and I don't have a picture of this, but if I take away that background, it's going to look exactly the same. So again, this is just to help make the point that a lot of times things are just how we perceive them or how we see them, how we view them, and we have to help our kids kind of with that same concept. Okay, so one of the biggest challenges is feeling like we don't have control over things, and somebody mentioned that earlier. So, how do you help your kids work through this? And this is a big part of building resilience because obviously, and I always when I talk to kids, especially teenagers, if I'm teaching them, I say, like life doesn't really get easier when you get to be an adult. I mean, we get a little more freedoms and we get to make a more of our own choices, but there's still a lot of things we don't have control over in our lives. So this is something that it's not just a kid thing. It's a forever, life thing. So how do you guys help your kids deal with this? How do you help them understand and work through things they don't have control over? What do you think? And if you haven't done that yet with your kids, like how do you think you would do it? What could you do to help them with that? This one's a little harder. Anybody have thoughts? I know this one's a little tricky. Okay. Um, let them know they cannot control anything but themselves and their choices, and that is powerful. Totally. So helping them feel empowered. I love that, Kirsten. Thank you for your honesty. No thoughts, since I think adults struggle with this. A lot of us do struggle with this one. But I think it does come back to, and I'm sorry, I don't know your name, but the our library representative, um, what we can control over. So focusing on what we can control over. So if somebody does something to us first, let's say like he hit me first, okay, you didn't have control over the fact that they did that, but you do have control over how you respond and how you thoughtfully respond. So, you could just react and hit them or say something mean back, or you can work on controlling your feelings and um oh, okay. Hi, Heather. Um, and yeah. So that is a tricky one, but just helping them feel empowered. Like, what could you do? What can you do? What are the things you can do? So just helping them focus on that can be really helpful in helping them not get stuck on that. Okay. So we're going to start moving into our strategies here. So resilience can be built by focusing on these things: flexibility, adaptability, tolerance, problem solving, changing perspective. So that's partly why I have those fun challenges for you guys, because it is a lot about changing our perspective. Instead of seeing the sloth, we see the dog. We just have to flip it over. We have to flip it. Sometimes we have to think outside the box to come up with a solution, because otherwise we just get stuck. Okay. So, the adaptability, again, is one of our 9 temperament characteristics. So being able to be flexible, and I don't mean like being able to touch your toes kind of flexible. It means like mental flexibility. It means being able to be ready for changes and dealing with them easily. So some kids really struggle with a change in plan, or doing something differently. They like routine. And obviously, again, adults, same. um and other people are like focused, or like they function better when they don't have plans and they kind of fly by the seat of their pants. So everybody's just different in this way. What's my tolerance level? Am I able to tolerate that struggle or that challenge and sit in that discomfort? Or am I just like, nope, I can't deal with it. Um, so it's some of that too. So, all right, let's dig into this a little bit more. So their mindset, and I'm going to talk about this. I think somebody mentioned this earlier, but that fixed and growth mindset. So just really quickly, this kind of goes to that victim mindset, fixed mindset. They're trying to get out of doing things that seem hard. They have a fear of failing or not being perfect. That stops them from trying. They immediately give up when they start to struggle, believe that no matter what they do, nothing will change. So like if even if I don't like I'm not good at math and it does like I'm just bad at math. It's not, well, if I work on this or if I keep, doing my homework or I keep go to my teacher and get extra help, then I can get better and learn this. It's just I'm just bad at this is the mentality. React negatively to suggestions or feedback and see it as mean. So this would be for you too and teachers. So if you hear a lot like, my teacher is mean, they pick on me, that's kind of what this is about. There's just this negativity or negatively responding. This is a huge skill, you guys, obviously for being successful as an adult because in our workplaces, we're gonna get feedback from our bosses all the time. We're going to have to be able to, receive that in a calm way and be respectful and then try to integrate whatever they've told us. So if we have this fixed mindset thing going on, then we may be, our kids may be just like, nope, my boss is mean and they're just picking on me and it doesn't matter what I do. They just think I'm doing everything wrong, etc. Okay. So that's how what that can turn into. Right now, it's going to be mostly in school. And then another thing that we see is they measure their worth by comparing themselves to others. Somebody mentioned that earlier too. So there's a lot of that going on. So instead of just viewing like I have my own set of strengths and abilities, it's always about I'm not as good as this person, or I'll never be able to do that like that person does it. So it's just kind of that feeling and then feeling crappy about it. All right, so the other direction, with a growth mindset, we believe that our abilities and our intelligence can be developed through effort, learning, and persistence. So kiddos with growth mindsets and adults aren't afraid of things that seem too hard or beyond their ability. They keep trying when things don't turn out how they wanted. They understand that to get better at something, they have to keep trying. They listen when someone offers suggestions and feedback. So this is obviously the opposite of fixed mindset. um, this is a really important one for a lot of kids. They're like sore losers, or they have trouble with being able to, be excited for somebody that's doing better than them. And they want to, hey, show me how to do that, or can you help me get better at this? Instead of just that, well, they're better, I'll never be as good as them, and kind of having a bad. Um, okay, awesome. That's great. Big life journal. Okay, cool. Uh-huh, great. And then setting short and long-term goals and making plans to achieve them. So that concept of like, I have something to work towards, it helps them kind of focus on and obviously we want them to be practical and achievable goals because that builds their confidence. When they're able to reach a goal, it's like, hey, I reached this goal, now I can set the next goal. So a lot of times when things feel overwhelming, we can help our kids break them into manageable chunks like that. Okay, so some ways we can help our kids develop a growth mindset. Does anybody have thoughts on that as parents? What are some of the ways you can help your kids with this? What do you guys think? I know some of you must have ideas. Okay, I like that. Help them create a vision board as a family activity. So by doing a vision board, we can have like goals or dreams as a family, and we can talk about like how we want to reach them or like what we need to do to reach them. And then modeling, great, showing how we have a growth mindset. Great. Help them learn a new skill. Absolutely. And just showing that they can keep building their skills. And then, yes, telling them that things take practice. Okay, yeah. So this is challenging because a lot of times, think about the brain development and that instant gratification. Okay, so their brain wants them to be able to, to like everything they do and be good at everything they do, like instantaneously. So their brain wants to avoid anything that is not enjoyable. So if I'm not good at, I want to learn to play the guitar, let's say, but I'm not good at it and it hurts my fingers, which I have experience, and it kind of stops me and I'm like, oh, I can't work through this because it hurts. I would have to I have to really want to do that thing in order to kind of work through the challenge and the struggle of that. But their brain doesn't want to do it because it's uncomfortable and we want instant gratification. So just keep that in mind. Um, okay, demonstrate failing to them so they can learn it's okay to fail. Absolutely. Praise the effort. Great. Practice with them one-on-one, whatever skill they're wanting to improve. That's a great way to just show that you are interested in what they're interested in, that you're there to help them and support them, and then you can talk through when they're dealing with challenges and how to deal with that. Okay, and then Heather had some great advice here. Never the praise the effort, not the end product. Um, yep, how well I did something and it caused ripple effects into adulthood. So celebrate effort and show failure is an opportunity for learning and an essential part of learning. And then, oh, I love that. Sometimes at dinner, she asks how each of them failed that day. And then you can ask what they learned from it. That is awesome. I love that. Okay. So, something to think about here for parents is when we put together a puzzle, the first thing that we do for most of us is we put together the edges, right? Because they're the easiest to kind of, we're creating boundaries for for the puzzle, sorry. So when you think about this, um, excuse me. Um, you help them that boundary by doing the edges, but then they find their way putting the inside together through trial and error. So one of the best ways to build resilience is just letting them try. And, that didn't work. Oh, okay. If you've watched your kids, and I'm sure you guys have watched your kids um, do puzzles, you've seen them try to put pieces in places that they're like, oh, that's obviously not the right thing, but they try it and they see for themselves that it doesn't work, and they have to try it a different way. They try it, they turn it, it doesn't work. Okay, I have to try a different piece here. So I think, the puzzle example is really good visualization and or process for thinking about your role as a parent in this process, is letting them try things their way, even though they're not right and they may take more time. Just letting them go through that process and not giving up. Like, not just going like, I can't figure it out and like throwing the puzzle piece. It's like, no, we have to, okay, it's not time for that piece yet. Let's look for a different piece. So we have to help them learn how to navigate these challenges that they're going to have. Okay, and Heather gave us a good book called Trying. So that's awesome. Okay, highly recommend it. And the library has it. That's great. And then Brian said thank them for trying. Yeah, okay. So that's awesome. All right, so think about the puzzle, guys. Praise effort, not results. We're running out of time, so I'm just gonna say I do this pretty quickly because this has kind of already been mentioned, but you don't know how to do this type of math problem yet, but you're working on it. Whatever their thing is that they're working on, praise them for not giving up. Let them know that this is the most important thing, that they didn't give up. We've talked about this several times, allow them to fail. So focus on what they can learn from their mistakes. They have to stretch themselves to learn about themselves. So if they don't try things that they don't know how to do, they're never going to know what they're good at. And it's important to help them understand that, and that they're not going to be good at everything. And this is a big one. They need to know you won't be disappointed if they don't succeed. So you just letting them know and reassuring them, like, then they won't feel like, oh, mom or dad is going to think I'm going to, that I'm, whatever, a failure. Um, and, um, Okay. Being a good role model. This was also mentioned. How do you treat yourself when you make a mistake? Do they hear you get down on yourself? Do you say, oh, that was so stupid. I can't believe I did that? Or are you saying, oh, you know what? I didn't do that the best way or the way that I the way that I should have, but next time I will know how to do it. Are you showing them healthy ways to deal with stress and frustration? Remember, your actions are speaking way louder than your words. So watch what you're saying too by through your actions and not just your words. So again, we don't have much time, so I'm just gonna kind of go through this. So if they're dealing with tough situations, um, be patient, first of all, show empathy, allow them to build their confidence in their own abilities. Don't, even though you're going to have a tendency, don't do it for them. I understand sometimes time is limited and you're like, we don't have time for you to try this 10 times right now. So I'm going to do it for you. But go back to it later if you can and let them work, try it and work through it on their own so that they see that's not, you know, that they can build their tolerance again for that discomfort. Help them work through the steps of problem solving, helping them understand brainstorming, weighing pros and cons, picking an option, try it out to see how it goes, and then reevaluate. Did this work? How did this work? What do we think? Do we want to do it differently? Don't criticize. We tend to focus on those negatives a lot as parents. So we tend to point out what they're doing wrong. So we want to um, point out what they're doing right. It makes everybody feel less defensive when we point out what they're doing right. So when you criticize, when you tell your child they didn't do it right, just be careful of how you say it. Give them feedback and input, but you're teaching them, not. So think about what message you're sending. Otherwise, they're going to get defensive and feel ashamed, and that's not what we want. And then think about your body language. And just really fast, I have this on the screen so you can kind of look at what I have here. Um, Instead of like, let me do it for you. What do you think is the best way to do this? What can I do to help? um, what grade did you get? Instead of focusing on the grades, how do you think you did? Move on, you need to get over it. It's okay to feel bad. Sometimes we need to ask for help, or it's okay to have these feelings and be frustrated. Okay, so what are we going to do about it? All right, so just to summarize really fast, children are literally born with a unique set of strengths and areas that will be challenging for them because of their temperament. We know that they can and should learn from their mistakes. They need guidance and coaching from you to learn how to navigate those challenges. That's kind of what you guys said was the job of parents in the beginning, that life coach. They need a safe and supportive space to practice doing things for themselves. So we need to provide that to them. They can become confident and competent young people with the right support. So every child can become more confident. And this last concept that I want to leave you with is this concept of kintsugi. If you've ever heard of this, but this is the concept of, let's say you have a bowl that breaks, and maybe you've seen this before. And what they do in Japan is they put it back together and it turns into a beautiful piece of, oh, it stopped. My slide stopped. Can you guys see the bowl?
No, they literally just ended.
What?
I don't know
Did you
what
ever see the bowl?
happened there. No, we didn't see the bowl.
What are you seeing now?
Nothing. You stopped sharing your slides.
Oh, I didn't stop the sharing. That's super bizarre. Okay, well, we're out of time. So here's what I'm going to say. This concept of this beautiful bowl. Imagine this. It's a bowl that has like the pieces were broken, but it was put back together like piece by piece, like a puzzle, but glued with this beautiful gold. And so you end up with this beautiful piece of artwork because things can get stronger and more beautiful when they're broken and put back together. And we can make mistakes turn into art. So that's kind of my last concept for you guys around this resilience. There's so much we could talk about, but that's all I had for us today. So sorry that ended. I don't know why that happened, but
No, that was wonderful, Lisa. Thank you so much. And thank you for everyone for your engagement in the chat. I think that these are so much more effective and useful when we have engagement from you guys and knowing, I know at least for me to have other ideas and perspectives and know that I'm not alone in the whole parenting struggles. So thank you, everyone. This is recorded. So of course, as usual, I'll put it up on our YouTube page so we can refer back to it. And we will catch you next month. Our next month one is in June. It's at the end of June and it is in person. It's going to be a CPR course taught by the trauma team at St. Mark's. So it'll go over some CPR and things that we can do if our kids are ever in that emergency situation. So hopefully we see you there. But once again, thank you so much, Lisa, and I hope everyone has a great day.